Hello everyone, Darren here. I don't have a review this week, but what I did want to do for this week's video was to put together a little short compilation of some of the cool poses that you can do with the new Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 85 Battle Damaged suit. A quick note before we go further, you're going to notice that the quality of the footage is going to go from weirdly 1080p or 2015ish to a more sharper image. There's a good reason for that. I've recently upgraded my camera, but I thought I'd just reuse some footage from last week's review because I'm an absolutely lazy bugger. Make of that what you will. Right, moving on. One of the first poses that I wanted to do was the classic Endgame moment with Tony on his knees staring down Thanos, Infinity Gauntlet in his hand, and that is very doable on this particular Hot Toys figure. I will caution though, I don't want to stress those joints too much. The knees are particularly tight with the die-cast parts, and I'm always just a bit cautious with the plastic parts, with the metallic finish on them. I don't want to scratch that paint. But you can do it, you can put Tony in that pose on a base, and it looks fantastic. I think I got it right. Alternatively, I went for a standing pose, which I think still carries a whole bunch of presence. He's not kneeling down, he's standing up, he's still got the Infinity Gauntlet on, the finger pose is right there, and it just brings such an atmosphere of heroism to a display. It's the one that I'm actually using currently in my own display stand with the other Iron Man figures flanking him. For my next pose, I also wanted to keep things simple. This is something I've actually done with my Mark 47 suit from Spider-Man Homecoming. All I did was I popped on the head sculpt, I took his helmet, I took out the neck piece from that helmet, then I got the hand with the articulated fingers that you can maneuver around a bit more, and then I just worked his helmet in there. And it just gives him a more stoic expression, I think. In a way, it kind of makes me think, what if Tony survived the events of Endgame? I just think he would be standing there looking something like that. Here's a Shakespearean twist that I put on this figure. Still sticking with the helmet, still sticking with articulated fingers. I did a Alas Poor Yorick pose, and I think it looks really cool. It gives him such a theatrical posture, such a theatrical presence, and it really works, I think, for photos as well. Just something dramatic. Now on this pose, it's nothing too, shall we say, creative. This is a classic Iron Man repulsor ray blasting pose. It's pretty easy to do. What I would recommend is just maneuvering those arms. You just pull them a bit so that you get a bit more flexibility. You put on the repulsor ray blasting hands so that you get that pose right. And then you just move those arms into a decent position. Simple, easy, but iconic. For this particular pose, I'm cheating a bit here. I've got the original Mark 85 suit as well, and that came with the lightning refocuser. And for this pose, I wanted to go for something a bit more primal, something to turn Tony into a predator. So I slapped on that lightning refocuser, I put on both claw blasters, and then I just leaned him. What you can do with this figure, if you don't know about it, you can actually pull on the torso, just not too hard, and that gives you more flexibility in the midsection. And that's where I put this whole pose together. We have him leaning forward with all that weight, but he's ready to pounce, he is ready to attack. I just think it looks so menacing. It's something I might revisit in the future, but it required a whole lot of fine tuning in the legs to get that balance just right. I think the end results speak for themselves. And then the final pose. We're still sticking with those accessories, that one from the Mark 85. What I've done is I've just slipped on at least one of the claw blasters. I've got the lightning refocuser back on his back. I've got that arm raised up. It's like I've basically turned him into my own War Machine figure. I could take a slap of black and grey paint here and I think it would actually really look well, a Mark 85 War Machine. But this also has great presence. It's easy to pull off. You can have it set up in your shelf and it will look really great next to a whole bunch of other Iron Man suits. And that's it guys, that's just a few of the poses that I wanted to show off for this week. I think there's a lot you can do with this figure. The articulation is absolutely superb. And if you actually pull off a really good pose, you know what? Drop me a link. I want to see. I want you to inspire me with what you've created. I'm also thinking of doing more of these videos. I really enjoy just posing my figure, just getting them in the light box, having a whole photographic session. It's fun and it's just nice to actually just, you know, show off what you are capable of creating with a Hot Toys 6th scale replica. Might do that next week with an older figure. I don't really see a point of doing a review of an older figure, but tune in if you like what you see. Maybe drop me a like and a subscribe, and hopefully next week I can surprise you with what I have in store.